to speak.
All right, let me get back in the mindset as the words start coming out of my mouth. So I think I'll be brief. I am generally supportive of the resolution because I understand where people are coming from when we discuss like needing to have a holistic plan done internally first. Um, but I think the only thing I want to be said about it outside of that is uh, the idea that like I'm not going to evaluate whatever plan gets put in front of me because I don't like the process is not how I operate. Like I'll evaluate whatever gets put in front of me, no matter how it gets there. Um, Obviously, barring anything heinous. And I also want to say to administration, like I think that I'm very sympathetic to the position that I think has been expressed. That is, there's been a lot of work done to discuss what needs to go on at the site, and the plans that have been made over the years, and we don't want to drag that out. And so I just encourage administration to lean on all of that work so that we can quickly get through this, because I don't want it to be delayed either. I think that's the biggest thing, is I don't want this to cause us to get hiccups and not be able to accomplish things over the time frame that we want to. And so if it meant that like we just gathered all the information that we've done to study the site already and then put something together, wrapped a neat bow on it for it to be applicable to this, I think that that would be fine. I don't know that and I also think that we could do that internally as well. Although I am supportive of looking outside, I think that because we've done so much work on the site, we could easily get all that work together, create a plan internally, and say this is what we think's uh, best based off of community feedback, and then get a little bit of community feedback on that. So I don't see those two. I don't see how this could. Actually, I'll take it back. I'll say it this way. I see how we could easily move forward with the path that we're on and still do a holistic planning program as well. And so that's why I'm generally supportive, even though the resolution's not written exactly how I would have written it. But I hope that if this passes today, administration can take the steps that I think are totally possible to get things done expeditiously. Thank you.
Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Gower, for bringing this forward. Um, a few thoughts that I have. First, I'm thinking back to, I think it was October when, we voted to send a committee discussion on doing a ULI or other type of study on this. And I've been looking forward to that discussion. Um, I don't know when it's going to take place, but this feels like something that should happen, or I think this should be part of that committee discussion, because I think it would do, I think it would serve the public and city council better to have a better understanding of what we would include in the study and then say, this is what we want. And it is unfortunate that the administration has moved forward in the way that they have, even though we had that unanimous vote to at least have a discussion about a study. And as mentioned earlier, the administration has had like almost a year to get up to speed on this and to catch up with what is wanted. It's really unfortunate that this hasn't been done already. In my opinion, this is something that should have been an administration discussion that started in March, the day after the Rays canceled the deal. But here we are. We have received 9 proposals. Nobody's looked at all of them yet and really studied them in depth. But just from what you've read so far, you can see that there are a lot of just brilliant ideas in there. And I don't want to put a halt to discussions around that, because I would hate to hinder the process in a way that might hurt us in the long run. if we hit the pause button completely right now. I do think we should take our time. I do think that the administration would be wise to include city council in discussions as we move forward. I really believe that we can do both here. Move forward with having this study. I think it needs to be, we need something that's current. And we also need to have conversations with the proposers. And, the administration can have discussions. Now, I would not want a selection to be made before the study is done. The sooner we can get that on a committee agenda, the better. So I don't want to delay that. But what I have in mind is, sure, have conversations with the development teams that have proposed something at the same time that the study is going on. And once that concludes, you kind of lay the study over the plans and see what fits, what needs to be amended. And that way we can keep moving forward with the entire thing on these parallel tracks. So that is what I would be in favor of. But I have a sense of urgency about getting this study done. And if the administration isn't going to take it seriously, city council can. And we do have the power to. So I think some of this comes from frustration with not talking about and getting this study underway. That's what I want to see move forward. So I'd like to have a consideration of moving this to that, sort of adding this to that referral item for committee and really getting some commitment on when we're going to have that discussion. Those are my initial thoughts. Thank you.
Councilmember Gabbard, there are a couple more people on the speaker.
Yeah, it was only in response to Councilmember Driscoll. So, I mean, I completely agree. I think that we're kind of in, like I mentioned, a place of confusion about what our process moving forward even is. And so through the committee stakeholder, the committee, through the stakeholder meetings that I have been having, I've had 2, and it's a pretty robust group around the table. That has really been, the 2 sides of the coin is we want there to be a plan, but we do not understand what that process might be going forward and how we can interject a plan, and can it run parallel or does it need to happen before the selection? That is where city council comes into play, in my opinion. And so as far as the committee meeting that we need to have, really this, if this does not pass today, I'm not quite sure where that referral item really stands, because if this body doesn't feel worthy of saying, listen, we do need to take a beat, we do need to have these conversations, it is not to throw out any of these proposals that are ahead of us. It is just to have that moment for city council to talk about what a plan may look like with administration in our committee. And so if this were to pass, we would be prepared to have ULI come and give us a committee presentation as soon as that could be scheduled. And so it is not my intention for this to drag on. We have been very diligent in our conversations with the stakeholders to make sure that everything that has been done to date can be taken into consideration as part of that plan. So, the word choice of pause was very diligent. Every word in this resolution was very diligent and very much given the weight of what those words mean. And when I say pause, it is not to delay progress into perpetuity. It is to have this moment for a cohesive conversation between administration and city council. And at that point, chart a path forward that will create this plan that will then guide the administration through their selection process if they so choose to utilize that at that point. So that was my purpose. I wanted to kind of address, how quickly can we have this committee conversation? Because we would be ready to bring that conversation as soon as the item could get agended. If it doesn't pass, then I don't know what that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fig Sanders.
Okay. The first thing came to my mind, and I'm gonna be that voice. The first thing came to my mind was stop playing with my people. Stop playing with my people. And I say that to say everybody wants to plan, and I wholeheartedly agree with Councilmember Driscoll, and I think that we can do this both ways. But go with me in thinking in the fact that where the circle driveway is, I'm real nostalgic when it comes down to the gas plant. Where the circle driveway is, I was baptized at 8 years old. That's where I was. That is who I am. And every time I hear someone wants to tell us what's best for us, was as though the words of the descendants did not mean anything, I quiver. When I hear the people at the table, who are those people? Because we've had those voices. When I hear, and Mr. Diner made it very clear to me, what came to me is sell it parcel by parcel. That's gentrification by block to me. So it's easy to say, let's pause this. It's easy to say, let's not move forward if you've had no vested interest. I see the opportunities, I see the possibilities that go with this. But again, I say, stop playing with my people. Stop playing with the history that that gas plant means to the city of St. Petersburg. We have done studies since what, 2015, if not before? I was a part of that process. We can take bits and pieces of everything. Yes, we need a plan. You don't go get your teeth pulled out without first doing an exam. I get it. But we're at a point now where I'm looking at, we have 9 proposals. You're right. Nobody has actually looked at all 9 of the proposals. But I can guarantee you, whoever gets this bid is going to acquiesce to what we tell them to. I really feel that way. And so please, 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 if it well, I'm not supporting, I support Councilmember Gabbard wholeheartedly. I don't support the resolution because I'm looking at the unattended consequences parcel by parcel. We have been talking about this for I don't know how long. And I know 6 months doesn't mean a whole lot to a whole lot of people. But I will tell you this. I want some of the descendants that took their time to have these conversations with us to be here to see something done. And when I actually heard about this study before, realizing that a lot of the people doing the study have no vested interest. And when I listen to some of the same African Americans who say they have a vested interest in this gas plant, acquiesce to what the voices are saying, not pertinent to bringing to fruition what our descendants have asked for, that makes me really sad. It makes me really sad. So my thing is, okay, administration, you probably could have done a better job of communication. That's nothing new. That is nothing new. But to intentionally continue that sell parcel by parcel, I've been talking about that for the past few years. I don't want to see that happen because bit and bit, we already know sitting here on this dais, selling pieces of land parcel by parcel, we cannot dictate what that is. And slowly, our generational history will be auctioned off. We have no say, we have no input. We look up, our children's children will not be able to recognize what was there. We'll have a plaque that says the gas plant. We'll have a plaque by Booker Creek, but the words of the ancestors will not be filled in those words on a plaque. So, with that being said, I agree with you, Councilmember Driscoll. This can happen concurrently. I think that the 9 proposals, I have not looked at all of them, but I think that the 9 proposals we have, we're still open for communication. Administration, Rob, if you can answer this for me. Before something is even selected, because I want to have a role in this. Because again, at 8 years old, I was baptized in that park, in that driveway on the corner of 16th and 3rd. Can I please get some type of agreement that if this passes, what are we going to do to cross that timeline? Can we not have that conversation concurrently? Because I'm not supporting another pause. I'm not supporting another opportunity. And I'm glad someone said it, sell it parcel by parcel. That's one of my greatest fears, is that we sell it parcel by parcel. Listen, they didn't take it from us parcel by parcel. They've moved communities. They've moved neighborhoods. They've moved businesses. It wasn't parcel by parcel. So when I hear parcel by parcel, that really does touch me in a way that no, I'm not going to support anything where we can have privatization come in, private sales, parcel by parcel, to take away the dreams of the descendants that we've already had so much time and taken their efforts. They have hope in us. They have hope in us that we're going to do the right thing. And if planning works with that, I want to do it concurrently, but I do not want to pause. I do not want to stop anything. Do I want better communication? Absolutely. Do I want us to know where we're going? Absolutely. And the way that's going to happen is though we're involved in that. We have to be involved in that. So I've said my little 2 cents, but I'm just hoping that the voices, I'm not going to let those die. And hearing that young lady sing that song this morning only cemented my stand on where I am with this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, council member, and I'll just respond to your question. I mean, the administration is certainly aware of the new business item related to a discussion in committee on ULI, and we're happy to have that conversation. We'd be happy to add in that committee meeting an explanation of the process that we intend to follow. We could certainly look back at the plans and the proposals that have been submitted previously and summarize those and explain our vision for the site based on the previous planning that's been done and have that discussion with city council and committee. We're happy to do that.
And I will say this, when you say our vision needs to be our vision. Not just administration. Our vision needs to be our
We
vision.
certainly understand that, and I think that we've shown that previously in the previous process. We had 3 or 4 different committee of the wholes. We certainly stayed in touch with city council. We tried to include your priorities in the final agreement that was signed, and so we certainly understand that and respect that.
Thank you for that.
Councilmember Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Um, well, just before some quick comments, I think no matter where this lands and the process that we get through here, everybody cares deeply about what happens to this property. And I thought it was important because not supporting an item, I think sometimes can get wrapped up. And I think this is one of those things where everybody cares so deeply about what happens. And frankly, a lot of us have spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours of time on this site. I think that's very important to say out loud. And so, you know, we've had a lot of conversations, frankly, over the last few years about kind of administration's role and their process and our role and our process. And this just seems to try to intertwine those in a way that I don't find comfortable. I don't want, and I've said this multiple times on this dais about multiple projects, I don't like going backwards. I don't like doing that, especially when I feel like we have momentum. I don't want to set that aside. And I think Councilmember Fig Sanders did a great job of explaining some of my feelings on it. I met with the gas plant descendants 4 or 5 times over 2023 and 2024. And so, Councilmember Fig Sanders, I will leave that to you. I won't even bring up those meetings because I think you stated that very well. And so again, I'm hesitant about this. I appreciate administration's point of view of wrapping this into a conversation. If that ends up happening, look forward to that conversation. But at this point, this is the administration's process. My guess is they're going to make a selection, or they're going to have interviews and then make a selection, and then they'll let us know about that, and then they'll go into what I assume is a robust negotiation, and then we'll be involved in committee of the holes, I'm assuming, just like we were in the past, and then we'll get something to vote. And if we feel like at that point that that's not what the best thing for St. Petersburg is, that's our opportunity to say so. And I just don't want to mince those two things. And so I just wanted to be on the record. And so I won't be supporting this today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I know that you are the last to speak. I've already spoken, so I would be perfectly fine with pausing while you give your remarks.
Oh, we have Councilmember Givens
yeah.
who has
There we go.
shown up.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I've tried to digest all of this, and I'm listening to everyone's points, and each point is valid. This is a very conflicting position to be in. I was not around to witness the days pre-Tropicana Field. However, I have heard stories of there being a thriving community that exists at the present-day historic gas plant site years before baseball. So my concern is that here we are once again about to make the same mistake twice. You know, I've heard the word gentrification mentioned, but let's not forget who are the true owners of this land. It wasn't the city of St. Petersburg. This land was owned by residents. It's Black History Month, so let's keep it real. Black residents, Black churches, Black-owned businesses, and it was stolen. It was taken from them by eminent domain. And so because of that, it was gentrified by force. And so we have an opportunity to reverse that gentrification. We have an opportunity to plan. Now, I've heard it said before that, you know, we've been planning, we've been talking, we've been having conversations. Well, I wasn't privy to any of those conversations. And honestly, I haven't been privy to any of the conversations that's been taking place on the side of administration, because we haven't had an opportunity to discuss this face to face in almost a year. And so I don't know what's going on. I have felt excluded from the conversation since I've been on the dais. And so now that I'm here, I'd like to not just exercise my voice, but the voice of my constituents who elected me. You know, they have a tough position because they don't get to vote. We do, the 8 of us do. And so it's our job to do what we can to act in the best interest of the public, not in the best interest of the mayor, not in the best interest of developers. You know, I love the spirit of this resolution. And even though I feel, Councilmember Gabbard, that the resolution lacks teeth, I understand the spirit of it. And because our powers under a strong mayor form of government is limited, we have to exercise the only muscles that we got. And those muscles are our votes. And so I have a lot of questions. I, you know, like many other people up here, have had an opportunity to look at all 9 proposals. I've had an opportunity to vet some of those proposals, have conversations with those developers, but guess who has not? The public. There's a number of descendants who are not included in those previous conversations because apparently it was exclusive, not inclusive. So I want to make sure that we give everyone an opportunity to be heard. I want to make sure that we have experts at the table. I look forward to furthering this conversation in committee because I do think the ULI will be very beneficial, having that study back and deciding where we go from here. You know, years past, we planned 2017, we planned 2020, we planned in 2022, but guess what? A lot of things has happened since then. Natural disasters, contracts and agreements being canceled. What I want to prevent is I don't want to make the same mistake that we made with Ray's Hines. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go because obviously everyone else has spoken. Look, I don't know how this is all going to end up. I don't think any of us do. If you would have asked everyone a year ago, more than a year ago, where we were, they thought they had the answer. Okay, So that's the reality. The reality is no one knows where this is going to land. Whether it's a developer that developed everything, whether the city keeps it, whether it's done block by block, no one knows. So what is the city's role? The city's role is in planning. And as Council Member Floyd mentioned, he's supportive of the resolution because that's, I mean, Vice Chair, he's supportive of the resolution because that is a central tenet of what government does, frankly. This is not going to come as a shock to anyone because I felt the last process was rushed. I did. And I did not like that because I think, as has been said by various council members, this is extremely important to our community. And so when we had the conversation last time, when the last agreements were before us, it was like we couldn't even hold it up for a month or two or whatever it was. And yet here we are. The sky did not fall. So you've had plans that have been approved, plans that all of a sudden were approved, and now then they were changed, and another RFP went out. So we've had various forms of this issue come before us through various administrations. So this is a resolution. As it's been said, it's not binding. It's, frankly, I never have a problem sharing what I think without a resolution, but if a resolution comes and it shares my feelings, I have no problem. We have to vote. So I'm going to vote for the resolution because I believe in planning. I said it to administration when we spoke. Look, the last plan didn't even have a fire station in the area. Seriously. This is not an area of the city that's small. It's 86 acres of land in downtown, and it does not work by itself. It's part of our city. It's part of a whole ecosystem, whether it's our fire services, whether it's our police services, whether it's our water infrastructure, whether it's our stormwater system. All these things matter. And so to me, it is a disservice to the public if government does not plan, because I tell you this, I don't want to hear in the future, we don't have a plan for this. We have been talking about so many things at City Hall for so long without an answer, without money, without this, without that, whether it's MSC, whether it's the senior center, whether it's the Mahaffey, whether it's the marina. I mean, you can pick whatever subject. And here we have an opportunity to kind of provide services to our public that matter. And this includes the descendants and everyone else, because the stronger we are as a city, when the government, by the way, the state government is trying to limit the resources we have, it is important to figure out the right path with this land. I have no idea what the state is going to do with real estate taxes in the future. So all this conversation, and who knows where we're going to be after they decide whatever their next new idea is. So my whole position on this is, I don't think there's anything wrong with planning. I understand administration is going to do what administration is going to do because that's their role, and that's fine. They're going to have an opinion. We're going to have an opinion. We all each have an opinion, and then we see where it lands. And I don't think it hurts to say that planning is important. So that's all I have to say on this. Thank you. Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. And it's been great to hear from all of my colleagues the thoughts on this. I really I'm supportive of this in most ways. And there are a couple of reasons. We've mixed up the process where we want, according to the new business item that was approved unanimously for discussion in committee, it was to discuss doing a plan first approach. And, you know, we're still not in the right order of things. I do think that going on parallel paths would help to fix that. It's disappointing because we know from the last time that we went through this that nothing else is going to get done. All of the administration's energy is going to go to, you know, playing around with these proposals and the people who have proposed them. And, you know, this will end up being more of a distraction while other needs in our city are not getting the attention that they need. And it's discouraging because here we are again with this being the hot topic while we don't know what's going on with the marina. We don't know what's going on with the municipal services center. We have a Mahaffey Theater that's, you know, in dire need of repairs. When was the last time that we really heard about that? And notice, no one has come back yet to work with us to make final decisions on changes to how the in-town TIF is spent. That might be convenient for some. We haven't had a discussion on making changes to what we need to do with the CBA process, and that's about to start again. Look how far behind we are. We could have been working diligently on establishing the right framework since March 13th of last year. I liked how one of the speakers earlier said, we need transformational. We need transformational, not transactional. And I am very concerned that that is the exact path that we are going to go down. Having said that, I was also happy to hear that there are other council members who would like to have a little bit more involvement in the process if that is going to move forward. There are absolute non-negotiables that I have that pretty much every proposal would be a no vote from me because of that. We haven't even had discussions as a group with the administration about what we are looking for, let alone what an independent study could show us. Again, the order of things in the process has been a bit mixed up. One thing that I would like to see if talks move forward is to have the groups that have proposals do a short presentation to city council. Maybe that's now, or, you know, maybe that's early, maybe that's down when it's narrowed down to finalists to do committee of the whole meeting, or two, where we have a short presentation followed by a short Q&A session. It can be lightning round. It could actually be kind of fun, but it gives us an opportunity to hear from them together, weigh in on this together, and ask questions together in the sunshine, where we can talk to each other. That is how we can help to guide the selection process. There is so much more that city council can do that we're not grabbing onto, and I commend Councilmember Gabbard for reminding us that we do have a great deal of control, and that does include the final vote. And so it is extremely important for the administration to be listening right now. If we could have, here's where I am at with voting today, okay? I want this committee meeting, and I think this whole thing should be happening in that committee discussion. where all council members, even those not on the committee, can be part of the discussion. If we could get a date certain today, and if that could be soon, I think we can really get to where city council is much more influential in the process. So I'm looking for that, and because I believe that the goals of the resolution as they've been explained and the way that I'm interpreting this is that what we want from this resolution can be achieved if we get this committee discussion done and get moving on this study. So, I'm kind of split on it because I do want us to keep moving forward, having conversations. I don't want these proposers who have spent time and treasure putting together putting their best foot forward. And some of these great ideas, I want to have those discussions. I don't want it all to just go away. But we've got to get things back in the right order here. And I'll make it clear that I will not vote to approve any kind of a deal that doesn't have this study included and implemented. So that's where I'm at right now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Chair,
Councilmember Gab.
if I could,
Oh, yes.
just for informational purposes,
Sure.
just wanted to, so all council members know, next Thursday at the Public Services and Infrastructure Committee, we are bringing back the in-town TIF discussion. So we look forward to having that conversation with everybody next week. And the Marina Design Build RFQ is in evaluation right now with staff. So
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Gabbard.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll be brief. And I just really first want to thank all of my colleagues for your thoughtful consideration of the resolution today. I hope that you appreciate the thoughtful intent that came behind this, and specifically the words right in the middle of the title of the resolution, to be very, very clear what the terminology of a pause is directly in relation to. And it is a pause from administration of any action to select, negotiate, or advance a developer ahead of a plan. And so that wording was very intentional, because it is my fear that without council having any sort of guidance, any sort of conversation, that a selection will be made, and then we will have to just respond again to what is being brought to us. And so this pause is not to pause any conversation moving forward. There are a lot of other things that can and should happen, one of which is an appraisal that we have been told needs to happen and is supposed to happen on the property. The list goes on. This is not to pause everything. This is not to pause individual meetings that administration can have with these developers. This is not to pause any of the discovery. This is to pause the selection, the negotiation, and the advancement of a specific developer choice on this site before City Council gets an opportunity to create a plan in concert with the administration. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, and if I
Yes,
can, I'm sorry. I do just want to bring up that memory lesson before we left. I made the motion. However, I do not have a second as
I
of
have it
now.
on my, I have
Okay.
it on my list.
Thank you.
for reminding me.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Fig Sanders.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate all the conversation, but I still haven't received an answer as to who's at the table and who are the stakeholders, who will be the stakeholders of this study. And that's very important to me. And I think everyone needs to be cognizant, again, going back to the history of the gas plant and how it all unfolded before. Because yes, I was around. It wasn't important to me at the time because I was like only 10. But I still don't want us to forget who the true stakeholders should be. Right now, I don't know who the stakeholders are intended to be right now. Right now, I still don't know who was at the table. I know who was at the table before, but I don't know who's at the table now. And I don't know what the intent is going to be from this. So I think that was one of my concerns. And I still have that concern. So whatever the process may be, I want to know that my no is not a denial of the process and what your intent was. But I'm not going to forget our descendants. I'm not going to forget what the original starting point of this whole process many years ago was about. And I just can't see myself get caught up in the bander with trying to take something that was intentionally designed to hear the voices of our descendants because we want to be heard about this is what we should everybody's already said it. We don't know what's going to happen with this. We don't know where it's going. But I will say my no is going to be as cleansed as the day I was baptized in that driveway of the Ray Stadium. So just no is going to continue to be no as long as I think that our descendants are not being collectively heard. And I do have a problem with outsiders telling us what we need. I get it. I get it. But I still do have a problem with outsiders telling us what we need. Outsiders telling me what we need is just as bad as people that have never been there, lived that experience in telling you what you need. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Problem. Councilmember Gabbard.
Hi, me again. Sorry. The question's been asked. I don't work in the shadows, very transparent. So I will share with everyone today. It's a matter of public record if anybody cares to call for it. Who has been at the table in the 2 stakeholder meetings that I have worked on? I want to remind you that that was my promise to all of you, was to bring a group of stakeholders together that potentially could look at assisting the city with some funding. So that is the exercise I've been going through. We have had 2 meetings. Obviously, ULI has been at the table. The first meeting that we had, ULI actually did national ULI did a presentation for us. And so they were at the table both from the local Tampa Bay chapter and from the national level. We have had at the table the St. Pete Chamber, the League of Women Voters, the Pinellas County Urban League, the St. Petersburg Downtown Partnership. We have had at least 2 members at our table who are gas plant descendants, ULI, obviously, others from the chamber, the Pinellas County Urban League, I said that, Bay Area Apartment Association, the Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete, and the NAACP were all 3 invited. Unfortunately, the timing did not work out for them to be able to attend, but those 3 were invited. The Suncoast Tampa Association of Realtors, the Sierra Club, No Home Run for St. Pete, and myself and my legislative aide. So that is everyone who has attended. There is a list of those individuals, and the group keeps growing. As I talk to people, Reimagine 175, I spoke with them. I believe you received a letter of support from them. That list will continue to grow. And this was just the beginning. This is what I see as a catalyst to be able to move forward with a comprehensive conversation throughout many diverse groups within our community. And so this is just the start, but I did want to be transparent with you. I respect your lived experience immensely, Councilwoman Fig Sanders, and just want to be very transparent in the process that I've been going through so far. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will say, when I speak about planning, and to be clear, and I don't know the process of what ULI ends up doing, but my planning is much broader. And I want to make sure that the city itself has answers as to what our services are necessary and the things that are needed in that area and in our city. Because here's the thing, we have 86 acres, and then later on we're like, well, we don't have enough land for this fire station, or our MSA building needs to be here, but now we did this. And I just want a better roadmap, because I know we have so many smart professional people that know all the needs that we have. to provide these services. And this touches upon every department in our city. And I think it's important. There is, of course, the planning for, okay, what are the things that we would like there? But then there is a planning of what are the things that we actually need for a city itself before you get to all the other stuff. So I just want to make it clear that mine may be a little bit broader, but I'm with the spirit of everything. I also want to put out a word of caution for those that are watching, because I know a lot of people are interested in how council members are going to vote. And some council members have already stated this does not bind council members to any future vote. It should not be also considered an indication of what they would vote on in the future based on whatever comes before them. And I want to make that very clear, because it's very easy to say, take this vote today and extrapolate it to something else. No one, not one of us has seen an agreement or contract before us. And for someone to presume that we are going to vote one way or the other without something before us, based on whatever we may vote on this resolution, I want to make sure that is definitely not what should be happening. We're voting on what's before us, which is a resolution that has been presented by Councilmember Gabbard, and that's it. So I have a motion and a second. Clerk, you please open the machine for voting. Council members, please enter your votes. Seeing that all present council members have voted, please tally and announce the vote.
Madam Chair, the motion to approve agenda item H2A passes 6-2, with council members Driscoll, Floyd, Gabbard, Givens, Hanowitz, and Harding voting yes, and council members Fig Sanders and Gertis voting no.
Thank you. Okay. Next in our agenda is open forum. And before we start open forum, I want to remind everyone, last open forum, I gave not just 2, but 4 warnings. And I was being very patient. But our rules do not allow applause. There should be decorum. And if this is disrupted one more time, I can accept public comments by alternate means, including by email only. And with that said, do we have any speakers? Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call 2 at a time. When I call your name, please go to an open podium, state your name or cross street for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to address City Council. First 2 speakers are Natalie Stackard and Ruth Whitney.
I don't think they're here. Ruth is definitely not here.
Okay. The next 2 speakers are Jamaica Williams and Linda Dobbs.
Hello, council members. My name is Jamaica Williams, and I reside at 1010 Crescent Lake Drive. I'm here today as a community organizer and a resident who believes deeply that local government should serve the people who live here, not outside interests, not political pressure, and not short-term convenience. I want to start with the historic gas plant development. I know that there has been in-depth discussion ahead of this, but I want to reassert that this land carries real history, real harm, and real responsibility. One solution I urge you to consider is a community land trust model. Here is not just a policy choice, it's a commitment to repair, to affordability, and to community control. A land trust ensures that this land remains a public good permanently instead of becoming another asset extracted for private gain. That's why I also strongly reinforce support of holding off on this Tropicana development decision until after the mayoral election and until there is proper transparent planning. It's apparent that the current administration is ignoring the will of the people and apparently council, which I find abhorrent since you all are our elected officials. This is one of the most significant land decisions the city will make for generations, and I believe that rushing it, especially while an incumbent mayor is up for re-election, undermines public trust. And selling this land off to out-of-town developers before the community, especially the ones affected, has a real say repeats the same mistakes that created displacement in the first place. These issues are about timing, power, and who gets to decide. And that brings me to the ICE agreement the city signed. I understand that the city may have felt pressure from the governor, but pressure does not remove responsibility. And in any other workplace, if a boss threatens you into doing something you don't believe in, you still have a right and an obligation to name that as harassment and push back. Local government is no different. Cities across the country have organized against the state when policies harm their residents, and you guys are not powerless. Signing agreements that entangle us with ICE undermines trust, harms immigrant communities, and make people less safe, not more. And saying we have no choice is not leadership. Local government can and must stand up for its people, and my hope is that you do just that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there are two speakers left, one in chamber and one in Zoom. I'm going to call the one in Zoom now. Mary Ann Holt, I'm going to let you into the meeting space. When I do, please state your name and address for the record or cross streets, and you will have 3 minutes to talk. Or no cross street. Okay. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can now.
Okay.
My name is Mary Ann Holtz. I live at 4569 8th Avenue North. I've lived in St. Pete for 49 years. On January 27th, I wrote this council and the mayor expressing my concerns about budget priorities. One of the issues I addressed is that our police department signed the 287G agreement to cooperate with ICE. In light of the rapid escalation of brutality and lawlessness of the tactics of ICE, I urged our city to end its 287G agreement with ICE. I received a reply, the only reply I received really with any information, not from the mayor, it was just, I'll keep your information, but from the council chair's legislative aide did copy me the response that you all had received from the police department, which is as follows. To clarify, our department is not a part of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We assist ICE only when, during the course of a lawful encounter, an individual is identified as a suspect or subject in a criminal investigation. If it's determined that the individual has an active warrant, we are legally obligated to execute that warrant, whether it's ICE related or not, fairly and consistently. We're not seeking, nor do we receive funding to support ICE operations. As of today, none of our detectives or officers has received training under the 287G program. Therefore, none has been deputized. That's the end of their statement. What the police department statement doesn't address is whether they will cave in and push some of our officers into that 287G training. And it doesn't address what our city's plans are when ICE comes into St. Pete and does sweeps with no judicial warrants like they're doing in other cities, grabbing people based on racial profiling, and what the plans are for our city when ICE begins attacking peaceful protesters and those acting to protect immigrant neighbors. How is our city planning to protect our residents from ICE? As long as we have this agreement, it looks like there's cooperation planned. Experts who have studied authoritarian takeovers of governments note that early compliance only leads to the regimes taking more and more control. Let St. Pete stand up now and say abolish ICE. Thank you.
Thank you.
The final speaker is Charles Rogers. Please go to an open podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to address City Council.
My name is Charles Rogers. I live at 520 16th Avenue South. I came today representing the Progressive Jewish Coalition. This is in regards to the 287G agreement, but I'd like to discuss my experience that led to me coming here today. On Monday, the Jewish Progressive Coalition went along with the Council for American Islamic Relations to the state capitol. I believe we were there to be heard out, to have representatives hear my words, maybe listen to me. While we were on the way there, the Attorney General sent out a tweet saying that CARE was coming to essentially wreak havoc, and he increased security measures, essentially trying to threaten us, get us to not come. We still came, we still showed our voice, we still spoke. We showed that we are dedicated Americans that want to protect each other, that want to look out for each other, that believe in the idea of disagreements within our religion and our right to have that. Beyond that, the 287G agreement, along with the bills that the state has passed, looks like it allows them to designate people as terrorists, domestic terrorists, with little to no real, nothing behind that other than saying that you don't agree with the American ideology. Look how diverse this room was. Look how diverse it was outside. What is the American ideology? What I'm asking my city council that I did not get when I went to the state capitol, because every single representative that agreed to meet with us, we just met with staffers. I'm asking you to hear me out as someone who is afraid for my neighbors, who's afraid for the people who have stuck their neck out to protect the people around them. I'm afraid for myself. I've already put my education on the line, my career on the line, just based on humanitarian principle alone. What I'm asking this city council to do is to consider that maybe this agreement looks good on paper at beginning at not having ICE come in, but they can easily escalate it. This agreement may look nice now, but what power do they have if they decide to pressure them to deputize more officers or do sweeps? If we don't make a stand now, if we don't say something, then we won't have a chance to in the future. You may not see someone like me again because I may get detained with no due process simply because of my advocacy in the past. Now, what I would just like the city council to consider, I've heard a lot of people talk about protecting their constituents, doing what's right for their constituents, especially minority constituents who have been displaced, disregarded. We have more people that we need to consider. Thank you.
No more speakers, Madam Chair.
Okay, we close open forum. Announcements. Councilmember Floyd.
Thanks. I'm just going to take a minute since we're in the sunshine to talk about one of the topics that a lot of the speakers have talked about today, the 287G agreement. I've been attending the N287G campaign meetings since their start, and they, I believe, have had a clear-eyed view of what the legal situation is in regards with our agreement. And so I'm going back and forth with them now more than ever, and I just wanted people to be aware that I'm trying to find any path forward that I think will represent our city's values and the things that our community is asking us for, because I have the same concerns that have been brought up today. But I wanted to let everybody know because we don't get to talk about that often. So I'll bring forward anything I can as soon as it's agreed upon by community members.
Thank you, Vice Chair Floyd. Councilmember Givens.
Thank you very much, Chair. And again, I just want to acknowledge the concerns of those who have shown up. I've had the opportunity to speak with Chief. I've also spoken with Sheriff Galtieri regarding the ICE agreement. And, I've made it clear that I want to do all that I can to support our immigrant community, which is one of the reasons why, I've raised the red flag and I've sounded the alarm regarding TCM. Which ends this week for our Haitian residents. So I want to make sure that we're doing all that we can to help all of our immigrant communities. So I'm working with Gulf Coast Jewish Family Services as well as some other pro bono attorneys to try to get some immigration help for them. And then lastly, in the spirit of Black History Month, we'll be hosting another Lincoln Cemetery cleanup this weekend, 658th Street South in Gulfport, and that'll be Saturday from 9 to 11. So anyone who can come out is welcome to come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gertis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This weekend is our annual City Hall Stars game.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, off the top of my head, I have forgotten the time of it. So I'm looking it up. 11:30. 11:30. We'll be taking on the Kids and Cubs. Before the game, we'll be giving out some grant money, which is always a good thing to celebrate, and looking forward to seeing everybody out on a beautiful weekend. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. I will be unable to attend the City Hall Stars game, which I was gonna say unfortunately, but it's actually fortunate for you. It means you have a better chance of winning.
Not true.
With me not there. But the reason I cannot participate this year is because I will be participating in our annual Science Fest in the Innovation District that is right next to Marine Quest, which, has become just a really big annual co-located festival. And in the past, there have been times when I get roped into a science experiment or two. It can be quite fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm going to hustle over to Raptor Fest at Boyd Hill. And that is one of my favorite things out of the whole year as well. So very busy weekend. It's that time of the year. Hopefully we'll have some good weather and that everyone can get a chance to get out there and enjoy some of these great events we have in the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Floyd.
Thank you. I was reminded while Councilmember Driscoll was speaking that I am absurdly busy this weekend for a lot of reasons, but one of them is Bungalow Fest and Historic Kenwood.
Yeah, I saw that.
That as well. They're celebrating like a centennial of the neighborhood and the houses in the neighborhood, and so I think if you have a few free moments, you should come check it out. It's a good experience.
Thank you. Well, thank you, council members, for a great meeting and a lot of good dialogue. Happy Black History Month to everyone. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Chair?